Hi, my name is Pamela Tran, and I did my infomercial on hallucinogens. Hallucinogens are a diverse group of drugs that alter the perception, thoughts, and feelings. They cause hallucinations or sensations and images that seem real though they are not. Hallucinogens can be found in some plants and mushrooms, or they can be human-made. There are natural hallucinogenic substances that can be found in plants, cactus, and mushrooms. These can be extracted or ingested in their whole form. Some hallucinogens are synthetic and created in a lab. LSD, for example, was created in a lab in the 1930s, and it is also known as battery acid, blotter, California sunshine, Looney Tunes, Purple Heart, Golden Dragon, doses, dots, and heavenly blue. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, there are 4 common types of hallucinogens. LSD is short for lysergic acid diethylamide, and it is a common recreational drug. It's manufactured from a substance found in a fungus that grows on grains like rye. It is also commonly known as acid, and it is usually consumed on small pieces of paper called blotter. Peyote is a small needleless cactus that contains mescaline, which is also produced synthetically. It has a disc-shaped buttons that are cut from the plant, sliced, and dried. The dried buttons may be chewed, or the buttons are soaked in water and the resulting liquid is used as medicine. But it is also used as a recreational drug because of its hallucinogenic effects. It contains a chemical called mescaline, and that can be used as having the same effects similar to LSD, but less powerful. Psilocybin is found in certain types of mushrooms in trace amounts along with another hallucinogen called psilocin. It is also known as magic mushrooms or shrooms, and it is a naturally occurring psychedelic compound. There are more than 180 species of mushrooms that contain psilocybin, or its derivative psilocin. Psilocybin mushrooms have a long history of use in Mesoamerica in spiritual and religious rituals and are currently one of the most popular recreational psychedelics in the United States and Europe. PCP is created as an intravenous anesthetic in the 1950s, but is no longer used due to the disturbing side effects. The actual name of it is called phencyclidine, and it is a dissociative anesthetic that was used as a surgical anesthetic, and these effects created a trance-like feeling and had patients feeling an out-of-body experience. PCP in humans was discontinued in 1965 because it was found that the patients often became agitated, delusional, and irrational while recovering from its anesthetic effects. Some common street names of hallucinogens are magic mushrooms, shrooms, LSD, acid, peyote, zen, and yellow sunshine. So how can hallucinogens affect your body? Well, some physical effects are dilated pupils, loss of appetite, dry mouth, sleeplessness, sweating or chills, tremors, and altered body temperature. And once in the body, hallucinogens affect the prefrontal cortex of the brain. This is the portion of the brain located in the front behind your forehead, and it is also responsible for functions like distinguishing the difference between good and evil, predicting future consequences, and making decisions. Hallucinogens mimic serotonin, which is a brain chemical used to transmit messages from the senses. The drugs attach to serotonin receptors in the brain, transmit false messages, and inhibit the actual serotonin messages from getting through. Since hallucinogens interrupt the communication system between the brain and other parts of the body, it is understandable why a person under the influence of drugs might perceive someone standing in the room when there is really no one there. Any messages transmitted from the senses to the brain cannot be trusted while there are hallucinogens in the system. So how can hallucinogens harm you? Well, hallucinogens can cause false messages such as hearing voice and seeing visions. So, the body relies on the five senses to negotiate the world and protect itself from harm. Seeing things that are not really there might not seem like a fun break from reality, but imagine the consequences of not seeing something that really is there, like a wall or a tree. That's where it becomes evident how hallucinogens can be deadly. Hallucinogens overload the sensory controls in the brain. The brain then confuses and intensifies the sensations and hallucinates. Hallucinogens also impair judgment and reasoning and increases heart and respiratory rate. Can hallucinogens cause mental illness? Well, hallucinogens disrupt many parts of the brain because messages are carried from the body through the central nervous system to the brain by chemicals called neurotransmitters. Hallucinogens disrupt this communication process in at least one area of the brain because they are chemically similar to serotonin, one of those neurotransmitters. And the resulting hallucinations are consistent with this type of disruption. There is still a lack of complete understanding of brain function, which is the basic mystery that exists between hallucinogens and mental illness. If the brain receives hallucinogens instead of serotonin and thereby perceives messages that are not real, how can it be sure that the brain will snap back when the drugs are gone? The receptors could get used to the fake serotonin and then not respond properly to real things. Thank you for listening to my presentation.